Notice, in accordance with the new copy regulations, this new episode of Quoth Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content we will feature is kid-friendly sometimes, the context of the episode is to address adults and inform them of said content for them to research as consumers and service other youth, in other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There's always the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well. Rated TV 16 and up. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Louis Bright Raven, Thursday night roundtable edition. Tonight, my guest is writer, illustrator, entertainer, Ted Davies from Michigan. He's been on our show before. As creator of ALBINO ZULU and RETRIEVE, and we'll be talking about that a little bit this time as well. But this time he's here to talk about his new upcoming series, Grimm 101, on Kickstarter. And welcome, Ted. Mm-hmm.
How's everybody doing? So I love the shirt.
Oh, well.
I love it. That's great. I almost wore my Star Wars shirt today, but I did the Detroit shirt. But that's awesome.
Well, a Detroit shirt.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I see it now.
Yeah, one of my son gave that to me a couple of years ago, so it's.
I don't know, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
You're going a hair out back in the back there.
You know what? It's the COVID curl. Yeah, I haven't had a haircut in like a year because up here it's been it's been crazy. So so I'm just letting it. And it's not a mullet; it's actually full. When I took this off, you'd see it's like like locked. You know, it's Anyway, I don't know. It's I guess when you're getting older, it's just grow it out, whatever. So
you know, that's cool. Well, tell us a little bit about Grimm 101.
Okay, Grimm 101 is it's set up as a memoir. It's a book that's I've been thinking about it for quite a while. It's a book that my mother was youngest of 15 kids, rural family back in the Depression, and she so there's a huge age difference between like her older siblings and then herself. So when I was growing up, I had aunts and uncles that I didn't know. I didn't know some of my, because they're so much older, and there's always, unfortunately somebody dying or somebody, we were going to funerals probably every year, like a birthday pretty much. And it stuck with me. I would go to these wakes, or if not wakes, but the funerals itself. And I felt terrible. We'd go to these cemeteries. I didn't even know these people. I still felt bad. So I made a mental note of myself. I'm like, well, what if it was maybe not, grieving, but maybe it was somebody or something making me feel this way. So I made a little note to myself when I was about 12. I said, okay, I'm just going to remember that. And then, I put that away. And then I remembered, I've always liked, if you drive past like old cemeteries that you see on the side of the road that aren't well kept anymore. People used to be going there to visit their loved ones, but that's since passed. And you see overgrowth and, and that always interested me. So I'm like, well, and then we moved up north, and we live right next to an old cemetery. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, okay, obviously I'm supposed to write about this. So Grimm 101 is a story based around a being called Jim, who finds himself in a cemetery, and he doesn't have any recall of why he's there or how he got there or anything. And he finds a book, and it's a manual called Grimm 101. It's basically his manual for his job, what he thinks, and it's the only thing he has to go by, and that's it. So that's basis of the story. So it's his memoir what he goes through, and over the course of 200 years, and then he's never been seen or heard, and he notices that there's a young woman that just bought the small cottage right next to the cemetery, and all of a sudden she sees him, and that's how the story ensues. So
Okay, that's cool.
yeah, kind of dark, little dark romantic comedy. So it'll be fun. But there's 4 books in the series. The first book, it'll be each will be a memoir base. So the first story will be about Jim the Grim, his viewpoint on life, or at the afterlife, whatever, his experience. The second book will be about Gwen's experience of meeting him, and then the third and fourth book will be the basically the origin stories and how this all came about, with a pretty interesting ending. So yeah, so should be fun. Should be fun.
If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm listening to you.
No, that's good.
But Facebook is being a biatch right now.
Yeah,
not letting me share the
clip. I shared it on my platform. So, and it's, for some reason, it's been weird. We've had some issues with StreamYard and Facebook recently. I don't know if they're not talking, and there's certain things you can't share. And yeah, I'm with you. So don't worry about it. They'll watch it on the playback. We'll put it all over the place when we're done.
Oh, well, I didn't know I was doing that because I didn't have that problem yesterday.
A for effort. A for effort.
Oh, well, but I mean, it's on there. It's on Facebook. It just won't let me send it to people in Messenger.
Right. Stupid. Oh, I got you. I don't know. Well, such is life. We'll roll with it. It's live,
Yeah, it's live. Exactly. But yes, so this is gonna be a 4-issue series, you said.
Right. It's kind of set up. It's an illustrated, I don't like novel. It's an illustrated book. I'm trying to experiment a little bit. You know how I am about, bringing out comic books that are watercolor. I'm trying to experiment with the medium a little bit and see what we can do, because I think comic books are great and they're structured, but I want to see if maybe we can't, what do we call this thing? Is it an illustrated novella? Is it, so I just kind of want to put it out there and see what the market, what the public say, yeah, this is it's an illustrated prose book. It could be a couple different ways, but it's set up as a journal. Really.
Well, this is the front cover to book 1.
Right.
And then this is part of the image for the Kickstarter that starts on the 25th, I believe.
Correct. Sunday at 7:00. Yep.
And it says, "I was invisible until she saw me." No, really, I've been floating around the cemetery for years. I guess my origins, or my beginnings, as it were, should be my start to this tale. Unfortunately, I recall only this place from where I came from. Well, that's anyone's guess. And to me, when I read this, I'm thinking this romantic comedy is almost like this girl's going to have to figure out who he is.
I think Jim's going to have to figure out who he is. It's a real, it's kind of not a head trip, but it's thought provoking. We've all been in jobs that we hate, right? And I thought it'd be funny to have a guy that he absolutely despises this book, this manual, that he thinks he must be working in this job. He doesn't know how he got there. Doesn't know how he got this job. He doesn't, he can't leave the cemetery. He's tried, and you'll see that in the story. And it's a real a burden on him in a lot of regards. So, and I think we've all felt that way, one way or another, with some jobs that we've had over the years. So
whether it's even just jobs, but just responsibilities.
Yes, and that's a good point. Yes, and to think about it in an afterlife or a ethereal, a supernatural way, that would almost be worse, because it's eternity. You know what I mean? It's not a finite time like we are here, right? So, yeah.
And even finite doesn't, how long is finite?
Right. Yeah. Right. So,
I mean, because family is family.
Yes.
Family is life.
Absolutely.
So,
and without family, none of us would be here. So, exactly. I mean, it's,
So technically, there you go.
Yeah, right.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, people do renounce their families, and people do renounce their responsibilities to one another.
Absolutely.
But at the core of what we normally are,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we hold to each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what I was getting at. But
Yep.
So again, is this more of the watercolor type artwork, or is
It
this
is. It is. It's going to be. It'll be. There's going to be like 40 pages in the first book, and there's going to be between 14 and 20 illustrations in it. Then in that, the other 20 pages will actually be prose. It'll actually be almost like it's almost like he's documenting his time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of, like I said, like a memoir, and
okay,
or a journal. So it's really the only way you can keep track of it. I mean, that's the rub of it. It's almost like he's in a prison cell marking off the days. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
On the wall, and it's kind of that feel. But the watercolor, what I wanted to do was have very as the books progress, you'll see more lines like you see in that cover.
Mm-hmm.
Because people can't see him, I thought it'd be nice to have it almost ethereal, almost like a fog in a way. And when you look at the pictures in the first book, it's going to be very that way, unfocused, because people can't see him anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the idea. So it's a very subtle, almost psychological way to develop the story, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know I get a little, deep when it comes to that kind of stuff.
No. Well, not, it's not so much that it's deep as much as you try to bring different layers of context.
Yeah. And it's going to affect the readers differently. Some readers will be like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. And then some of them won't even get that. They won't hear this conversation, and then they'll see it develop and, oh, okay. So exactly. I don't know. And as the characters, what's that?
Some of them will just read it and not see it at all.
Yeah. Right. And maybe that's good too. I want people to find out.
They'll read it. They won't see it. They'll go back to it another time.
Right.
And then see it.
Right. And then there might be another discussion about, how the story, what it meant afterward when they reread it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Now this is going to launch on 25th again. That's Sunday.
Yep. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What is your target goal?
So I wanted to keep it moderate. It's $1,000 because I just wanted to cover costs. I think that there's, it's mainly I wanted to get the we talked about this on one of your other shows, and if you haven't seen it, go back through your YouTube channel.
Quoth the Raven, Lewis by Raven.
Yep. Go back through that and then look back to what we talked about as far as distribution and exposure. And I don't like using that word, but it's really the most fitting word. I wanted to get it out to the masses so that people can see it for what it is. And this isn't, like I said, an experiment. This is the first time I'm doing it. So I wanted to see what, who could reach, who would be interested in it. And that's why I wanted to set the goal low to be reasonable. And then we've got certain stretch goals that I've worked out with, if I can give a shout out to Lisa Malone for the management side. She's phenomenal. If you guys ever have a campaign or anything like that, just from the structuring it and scheduling it and everything is just, it's so much easier having a professional like Lisa around. And she's real, she'll tell you, okay, you don't need to do, you should probably do it at this level. And then we went back and forth on different what we should put for the goals and everything else. And
John finally showed up.
How you doing, John?
How you doing, John? Did you get your shot today? I think he went and got a shot today or tomorrow.
Yeah, we got ours last week, boy. But took the wind out of me, boy. Let me tell you, it was that was a rough one. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit tonight.
I haven't got mine yet. I haven't even got the first one yet. My dad's got his.
Good.
He got his on base.
Excellent.
Before all the what happened.
Yeah. Right.
But the reports about the bad batches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I decided I'd wait until that was cleared up.
Sure. And I understand that totally. I understand it completely.
And since I don't really go anywhere to speak of, and
right.
He's got his. We don't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
There's no real reason to do it yet.
Sure. I'm with you on that.
And I figure if I was going to have to go on tour, for convention and stuff, yes, that's
totally different. Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But, and we were reluctant too. I mean, there was a lot of things that happened up in Michigan. It's been an onslaught here. It's been
Well,
It went through.
you guys needed them though, because you've been having wave after wave.
It was just, yeah, it was, we have to make a decision that was like, well, okay, we've got to do it in order to be productive versus, or not be reactive. We wanted to have some type of decision making, because there's just so many things happening here. There's too many people that are not doing it. We have to do something that'll be.
It's not so much people aren't doing it. It's just that you just have wave after wave of people getting hit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it comes a point where you have to do something or nothing. So yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, I stay home, but Chris still works outside the home, and there's concerns there with her parents. And so, yeah, we're just doing the best we can,
Absolutely.
And that's all you can do. But I think it is a personal choice. Absolutely. Just like putting on a mask.
Oh, I wear a mask.
I do too. I still do. Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You wear the mask even after you get the
absolutely
shot. Just because you're inoculated does not mean you can't get it.
Correct, and vice versa. Or yeah.
That's what people need to understand. Right. It just means that you have an easier resistance to it.
Right. It's not a right, and it's not a solve. It doesn't solve everything. It's like, but it's at least it's
like getting a flu shot. You can still get the flu.
Sure. Yeah, but I'm glad that we had it. It was a little bit, I think a lot of it has. Oh, you got the second Pfizer shot. Okay. Yeah. I had the first one, and it was. I noticed that genetically, my son had the same effects I did, and so for the first shot, so that's interesting to see the genetic side of it. The pain in the arm, that kind of thing. But yeah, it was it took the wind out of me Friday. I had it Thursday, and I was hurting like crazy on Friday, and then Saturday night I was fine. So so it must have been working.
One of my friends had I something in her neck swelled for a while, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, right. And that's I mean, it's for real. It's for real. So
yeah, my dad had no effects whatsoever.
Good. Well, that I'm glad of. That's really good. And I don't think, we were talking about it too, I don't think that I've had any other vaccinations for 10 years probably. You know what I mean? So it could be that too. There's a lot of things. So, but I'm here, I'm breathing.
That's what matters.
So, we'll just take it. And I'm glad that I'm glad that we're in a situation that we can make a choice like that, right? I mean, if you want to wait, that's cool. I'm glad that you have that choice, because some people are just,
Yeah. I have the option. It's not
the option. Yeah.
There's a difference between having an option and having a choice.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yep.
Now behind you, you have copies of issue 1 and 2 of the.
I do. Yep, I do. Yep. Over here. Yes, sure do.
I was kind of wondering. I know the story's not concluded.
Correct.
And we also know that the ALBINO ZULU #2 is either finished and out, or is it coming out?
It's coming out. We wanted to wait because I had everything that's been going on with, and we can talk about that in a bit, with the scripting of Retrieve for the movie. There's a few things happening that I wanted to wait because of the way that we're, there's a couple different reasons, but everything happened, COVID, we had wildfires out in California. There's a lot of things that happened, and I was ready to get Retrieve 3 done, 3, 4, and 5 done. But then the script came up, and there was some questions on how we were going to do it with a live action. So I made the decision that, okay, so now we've got it ready for option by September this year. I wanted to kind of roll out 3, 4, 5 after we get this. I want it to kind of mesh together with what the script is doing, because I think that there's too many loose ends that can be answered in 3, 4, 5 in tandem with the script. If that makes any sense at all. Yes, it was more of a decision that I would rather step.
You want it to run so that you're not having contradictions between film and
we wanted to enhance. We wanted to enhance what's going on. Both of them.
You want to enhance each other, but not contradict.
Correct. And I want it so that it's. I want people to look at it from, oh, cool, they're doing that. It's not going to be this two-sided. And it might be. The option might not. They might change certain things. That's fine. But I wanted it so it's a little bit smoother. And that was why I waited. That's why I waited. So,
okay.
Yep.
See, I did not know that you had a Retrieve film option.
Oh, I thought I told you that. I'm sorry.
No, I did not know that.
So, well, we're optioning. So I don't have the check in my hand, so to speak.
Okay.
So it's
in negotiation.
We're getting it right now. It's still script to negotiation. So
Okay.
September's the date because, like I said, everything last year, it was May 2020 when we had the option for the producer called me and said, "Hey, okay, you got the 2 books out. This is great. We want to get the idea down." And then we've been working on it, and then, things happen. People get other scripts. They have to work on that. And that's just part of the, it's Hollywood.
Yep.
And then wildfires, and then this epidemic thing happened, this pandemic, all this happened. And it was like, so we delved into it for like 5 months, 6 months. And then we took a break for a couple minutes, and then we're getting back to it full now. So September will be the time when we'll be able to go out there and actually hopefully have meetings. They've been scouting sites for the filming, so that's good.
Okay.
And that's part of the story too. There's things in the story that I didn't think of, certain production things in live action. I had it's fascinating to see the journey of how they can put this. There's so many different levels now. A comic book, it's 20 minutes, right? You just read it and you're done, right? And you've read the books, but the idea, when it comes down to, okay, how Retrieve works and how they're going to, I'm not going to get fully into the story yet, but the regressions and everything that happens and the different, everything down to the cars that drive, because it's set in the future and there's all kinds of stuff that we've got to nail out. It's fascinating stuff. It's a lot of fun, but it takes time. So that's a double-edged sword, because you're in the midst of the storytelling in a comic book form as an author, and then you've got this brilliant mind that's scripting it, and they're bringing up some really great concept from the idea, and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And I had an answer for it. There's some things that came up that I'm like, I must have been thinking about it subconsciously, but I never put it down on paper. So, and that's been a really interesting thing. It's been a really interesting thing. So very cool.
I think you probably had the world building in your head, but it didn't pertain to what you were wanting to focus on in the comic.
Yes. Well, you want it digestible, and visually you can do that. And that's, Craig, the producer is really, he's got his mindset. He's really knows what the vision of the whole idea is, and the scary part of it, the scary part of the idea. And he really wants to nail that down, because I think that the implications of what could happen with Retrieve is pretty staggering. So, and that's what he wanted. That's why he wanted to script it. So I was really fortunate when he offered the opportunity. So,
well, as long as you two are getting along and everything on page, then
it's dynamite. Craig's fantastic. I recommend him anywhere. He's just terrific. So,
well, I hope everything.
I do too. And that's the other thing too. You look at option. You talk about scripting to option. Option's a key. If you can get it optioned, then they take it off the sales floor, so to speak, and then they own that option for X amount of years or whatever. So the way I look at it, it's kind of free money in a lot of respects.
Yes, I know how it works.
And that's what I the film is great. If we're blessed to get to the film stage, great. If we don't, though, the story is still being recognized for what it is, and that's important. That's important.
Yep.
So
absolutely. So that is where Retrieve is, and that because people have asked me, hey, whatever happened? We only seen 2 issues.
Sure. Yep. It's they're coming, but that's why I figured that's one beautiful thing about independent being an indie publisher, because you can do that. You can take back, or you can but the biggest thing was, and it was a decision. I mean, I went through it. Christy and I both sat down, and Craig sat down, and we're like, okay, do we ruin the script by putting out 5 books that are going to be different? I'm like, I don't, to the script. I'm like, I don't like that. I think that we should really try to marry them and see if it'll work.
Well, what you get, what can happen is like what happened with, what was the name of that? There was a Sci-Fi Channel series, that Dark Matter.
Yeah.
Dark Matter started out as a Dark Horse comic.
Yep.
It was 4 issues, and it was a good comic. I read it. And then you got the TV show, and it was, I recognize it from the comic, but it went in this completely different direction because the comic really didn't go anywhere.
Right.
And they continued the storyline where they would have probably gone if the comic had done something. Sure. But, as a result, we never got really the whole of anything.
Right. And I mean, there's some artistic license, I've got it. I have to say that. And I wanted it to be malleable. I want it to be kind of plastic in a way that you could mold it to what, because there's certain things that Craig brought up that
not
just
plastic, elastic.
Plastic. I don't mean actually plastic, but like in architecture, we talk about things being fluid or plastic, that they're malleable, that you can form into certain. And with Craig, he's got that. He understands that and he understands the passion I've got for the story. And that was something I really, before we signed anything or did anything, I wanted to make sure that was, he understood that. And in the same respect, he had the passion for the story too.
Right.
And it enhances each other. That's the only I can put it. It's just a really good marriage when it comes to that. It's but that's why I wanted to hold off on Retrieve 3. I've got them written. I just haven't produced them because of that. So, but it'll happen. It'll happen. In the interim, though, after we're done with that, we have a huge storyline that'll continue the Retrieve program even further in the future, and that'll be in January. We're going to be doing a whole nother series on that, and it's called Archimedes. And as you know who Archimedes is, so that'll be a whole nother venture, and that's going to be something. So it's a planning thing that we're doing, and you know how I am with planning. I try to make sure that everything, the foundation's built, and use architecture terms, then the floor, then the wall, So it's the same thing goes with that. So, but I have to trust, there's a lot of trust in it. You have to make sure that you're with the right people, and it'll all happen.
That makes sense now. I mean,
that's why.
Well, I kind of questioned it because I was like, okay,
sure,
he's got Retrieve,
sure,
he's got Albino Zulu. They're only so far, and now he's on his third project.
Yeah, right. And that's totally understandable. I would be the same way. The same way.
So it was like I figured that when that was part of it, was like I got to get him on the show to get this clarified.
Right.
Because I know Ted, he doesn't just he's not scatterbrained. There's something going on.
Yeah, there's not a flash in the pan. No, it's calculated. It is.
Yeah. So I had to find out what was going on. Right. And because it's like when people that used to write on my show,
sure,
they don't write as much, like Miguel Esser and some of the other guys that used to write on the show. They're like, whatever happened to that guy?
I'm still around.
Yeah,
and then the station, the broadcasting took over a lot of time too. So I was trying to build up that. It's all content, and that's that just happens. So I have wait on certain things. I have to, it's like, I don't have any downtime. I've tried to do it so that I've got other things going. So that way, when everything is taken care of with Retrieve, okay, they're going to ask you, they already asked me, what do you have next? What's the next thing up? So that when this goes, we've got something else that by the desk of Ted Davies, they've got something in the works already so there's a positioning. It's a real,
yes,
it's a completely different way of thinking. So
it is, because it's when you're dealing with Hollywood,
it's marketing. Yeah,
it's not just it is marketing, but they want you to have more than one.
Sure, property. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't blame them.
No,
I mean, Ford didn't just put out one car. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And they want you to not just have more than one property. They want to see consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Development.
Yeah.
And not just like, well, I have more ideas, but this one isn't as developed as that, or whatever.
Right.
And it's not easy to do.
No, it's not. And then you're stuck holding the bag because you only have one project. You've got one thing, and then you have to make sure that you've got other things in development. So
that's why people always are asking me, well, why don't you have Spellseeker or Blake and Terror or this? I've got 7 or 8 projects that I can pitch.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't want to, like, if someone were to say, okay, this is done, it's ready for auction.
Yeah.
I can go, like you say, what's the next thing? Here you go.
Right. And you've got your elevator pitch ready, and you've already got the work done. There's a lot of things behind the scenes people don't see. I've got a bunch of scripts or a bunch of drawings all done, all ready to go, but nobody's going to see them until, it's ready.
Until it's time to be seen.
Right. So, and that's, you've got to be flexible too as a independent, because you got to listen to other.
You have to listen to them, and also someone can look at what you do and say, okay, I feel what you're doing, but I don't think you're the right designer for this.
Yeah, right. So you have to delegate. You got to be able to say, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe I can look at that.
Yeah.
Or maybe just have a different.
Maybe they'll say, hey, I got someone for you that might be, look at these guys.
What do you think? Yeah,
exactly.
And as long as the story's the same, as long as the message is still the same, that's great.
That's the point. And Pop Culture Avengers come over from Brofessionals to say hello.
Cool.
I was watching Brofessionals before our show.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you know who the Brofessionals are.
No, I don't. But I'll find out. I'll find out tonight.
Oh, it's a group of it's Aaron Lopresti, Graham Nolan, Dan Fraga.
Oh, cool. All right, let's got a pretty good group. Sounds like.
Yeah, they have they go from each one's YouTube channel and talk about different things each week.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, give me make sure I get their links.
Yeah,
check it all out. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. But they're some of the guys. Almost all the guys are in my YouTube. Watch their channel links.
Okay, good. All right, good. Well, I'm on there too. I'm sure I'll just go in and I'll check it. I'll see what you got. I'm sorry I haven't done that. I should do that. I'm making a note of that. Definitely. All right, cool.
Yep. So that leaves us with you're developing Room 101.
Yeah.
Kickstarter starts on Sunday.
Yep.
You got 4 issues.
Yep. Only the one issue's on Kickstarter now, but
right
there'll be 4. There'll be 4 in the
right.
intro.
We're starting with the 1.
Mm-hmm.
Your startup goal is 1,000.
Yep. Just enough to cover.
Just to cover.
Yep.
And when you do are you doing a video again like you normally do for Kickstarter?
We did. I don't know if you saw it or not. You might not have seen it. So it's on the preview, if I'm not mistaken. It should be on there. Mm-hmm. That one, actually, I have it done. It's by Jeffrey Hayes. Did the work, and then I've got a good friend, Chris Freeman, that does beautiful melody work, just absolutely amazing. That actually plays in the background. So I've got everybody affiliate. I've got a ton of different people that I'm creatives that I. What's that?
Can you share it with us?
Yeah, I can actually. Let me see what I've got here. Let me see if I can find. Give me a second. I'm sorry about that. I should have had it queued up. Do you have the link to the Kickstarter? Mm-hmm. No, I'm sorry. Should have done that. I thought I had it for you. But in any case,
you sent it to me, but it sent me to a page. It just sent me the blanks. One page with his
Okay, I got you. Well, give me a second. Let me see what I can come up with here. Go ahead.
He says he loves the painting of your Mohawk.
Yeah, my inner punk. Yeah, that's my that is my number one out of everything I've done the last few years. That's the number one seller I've had, and it's been great. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up. Hopefully let me see what I can do here. Just bear with me, guys. Sorry about that. I should have had this ready to go. See if this will work. Can you see that?
There we go.
You ready?
Yep, we're ready.
All right, let me play it through.
Where's the sound?
It's playing for me. Hold on a second. It's not playing for you, apparently. I'll tell you what. Do you want me to send that to you? I don't know how to do this because it's not playing for some reason. Yeah, it's playing here, but no volume. So, well, let's see. We'll have to work on that. Sorry about that, guys. Video file. This is live entertainment at its finest, guys. So just bear with me for a minute. This is part of it, though. This is what we do. Let me try it this time. See if this will work. Okay, maybe that'll work. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we're hearing you
I was invisible until she saw me. No, really. I've been floating around this cemetery for years. I guess my origins, or my beginnings, as it were, should be my start to this tale. Unfortunately, I recall only this place, and from where I come from, well, that's anyone's guess. This relic of a book is a cruel guide, Grim 101. What a terrible title for such a dreadful manual of despair. I cannot believe that I would have taken such a supernatural vocation. But a duty is a mistress in this solitude of eternal watching. I have been a mere observer, at best, for more than 150 years.
Yeah, I don't know why the video didn't play all, but the sound is great. But I don't know why it's not playing, but that's the way it is, guys. Sorry. You can check it out on Kickstarter, though. Absolutely.
It's doing really well here on the...
On your end? Okay. I must be... Okay, good. Well...
Yeah, I love how the... it's like teardrops. Almost.
Yes. Yeah. I think I'm frozen completely.
Oh, wow.
Can you still hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
All right, let me drop out and I'll come back in. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Hopefully we haven't lost him. Let me open a window here real check on how are you? I'm doing okay. I mean, it's been kind of a crappy week. Had an issue with military base where my dad's supposed to get his medicines and stuff, and we got to get that resolved. And our lawnmower doesn't work, so we had to go take that to the shop to get that work done, and some other things. But it's been kind of a cruddy week that way. But other than that, there's always little difficulties in life that you got to work through. See, I hope he didn't lose his connection or something. He's up in kind of a rural part of Michigan that has sometimes has a rough internet. I used to live up there where he's from. But other than that, hope we didn't lose him for the evening. We got a lot left to talk about. But so far, we've talked about his Kickstarter. Here he comes.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
That's live. I don't know what happened, but anyway.
Well, it might have been your connection again.
Yeah, it might be. I've got, I'll be getting a phone call to Spectrum tomorrow. But I've got all this great technology here, and it's one of those. It's going to happen. Sorry.
Well, it's Spectrum. It's Spectrum.
They're usually pretty good. So I don't know.
You should have heard Spectrum. Yeah, it took me out 2 days ago, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, Spectrum. Oh, your modem's not working. That's why we got to have you. We got to schedule someone to come out to your house. And all it was they were working on something to do with videos.
Yeah.
Video.
Right, you said that there was updating or whatever.
And I don't even have video packaging in my house, so why is it affecting my internet? But that's
did the video come through okay then? Did you see the whole? Okay, so for whatever reason, all I could hear is I could just hear it. I couldn't see it, so apologize for that. But yeah, so Jeffrey Hayes put that together, and yeah, it is Glenn Fleming. Actually, it is. Glenn was he's become a very good friend, and I had him do it. He's never done a voiceover. And he's like, I had him do it, and he was just brilliant. He was brilliant. So, yep, that's Glenn B. Fleming.
So that just probably blew his mind.
Yeah. So yeah, Glenn's been great. He's been just an absolute treat to work with, and yeah, it was good. And I didn't expect, I wasn't expecting to have an English voice for the voiceover, but I'm like, man, that's going to be dynamite. So I'm like, I just, when we put it together, I'm like, that's it. So Jeffrey Hayes of Prism, Plasma Fire Graphics, did all the work on it. I did all the artwork. He did all the digital work, and he's brilliant. If you guys ever need anybody to do any type of editing or artwork for that matter, he's fantastic. So absolutely fantastic.
Pop Culture Vendor says that was 2 good interviews you did with him. So I guess he watches your channel.
Oh, very good. Yes. Yeah. We had very good, he's just great. He's just a really, really dynamite person, just to be around. Creative, great illustrator. He's got a cartoon called Hatch. Just terrific. Just terrific. So
yeah, I think I watched, like, how long was the first one?
Oh God, it was 2 hours. We didn't even scratch the surface.
Yeah.
And he's,
I think I watched like an hour and a half or an hour and 45 of the first one.
I usually don't go that long in TED Talks, usually about an hour. But yeah, it was just it was too good. And he was, he's across the pond, so we're trying to schedule it, and it's
yeah. Well, no. It was just like, I don't mind. I mean, you know me, you know how long my interviews.
Yeah, right. It's cool.
Like we go as long as it goes.
Sure. Sure.
So I don't mind.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm glad you guys check us out. That's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So
I had Jeffrey Hayes on an interview, and his power went out. And it was almost like the same thing just happened here, except all of his power went out and he was off. I was on air for like 5 minutes before he got back on. So I get it. And I'm sorry about that. So,
no. Hey, remember when I had, our friend that lives downstate in Michigan.
Yeah. Yep.
Michael.
Yep. I remember. Yes.
And I had to type in all of the responses.
Right. But you handled it. You handled it well. So
yeah. So I mean, that was the way it is sometimes.
Right.
Because,
right.
So
hopefully the launch on Sunday won't be as bumpy as that, but it'll that's the way it works. That's the way it works.
So is that a 2-week campaign, a full month?
That one's 21 days. 21 days. We went around. We were trying to figure out. Again, that's why I brought Lisa in, because she really knows about Kickstarter, and that was one reason why I kept it at $1,000, because I want to make sure that it does fund properly. And then we, I see so many that shoot the moon and they don't. They've got a great project, but they just set the goal way too high. And I don't think it's fair, because there's so many people that are relying on these to go through, especially when you bring in a team of people. So, yeah.
Well, I see a lot of them that we've had this discussion many a time.
Sure.
About crowdfunding.
On and off camera. Yep.
And, it's not that I don't support them. I support them.
Sure you do. I know you do.
And it's just, for me, if I'm going to do it, I want to make it so that I'm not just doing one project and then
bailing. Yeah. Right.
I want to make it so that people are going to commit to eat the whole thing over.
Sure. It's like you're trying to build a client base versus a customer. I mean, and that's what I want too. I want people to, trust the fact that, it's going to be fulfilled, all that stuff,
Exactly. But, it's weird, because I've seen people that are like proven 30-year veterans.
Yeah.
That can't get. And I was like, what do you mean that didn't get funded? What are you talking about?
Yeah. And then you see other ones that are just outrageously funded, which is great. It's good to see. But you leave yourself with a scratch in your head, like, why was that funded? Yeah. Sometimes. But I wanted it to be fair. I wanted to make sure that it was a goal that it's not about cash grabbing, and that's something that I think is hard for a lot of people. My work is valuable. It is, absolutely. So is mine. But I want to be smart about it. I don't want to be. I don't want to be a cash grab.
Well, 1,000's a nice, small.
And that's achievable. It's achievable. And it's something to set the goal.
Yeah. He launches at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Correct. And that'll be on, it'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. Yeah, I've got it set up with my StreamYard, so it'll be on all my social media as well. So, yep.
And that'll be for Grim 101.
Correct.
And is there a way to get Retrieve and Albino Zulu as part of the Grim?
We've got as far as what? I'm sorry, I didn't catch
with the Grim 101, like a back.
We've got a couple. We're working on one of the rewards. Yeah, the add-ons. There's a few things. I've only had. I'm almost sold out. I ran a few more of them. I've got I think there's only like 30 left. We ran just a small run because I figured there'd be people that want to have the retrieve. The one thing was too is that I want to, when we just as a side note, I'm going to be redoing a few things that I did with the Retrieve 1 and 2. When we get all 5 books done, we're going to do a trade, and any corrections that we've got will be in the trade. That way, the originals are the raw ones, so to speak. So the collector will have the originals, because those are the people that helped me, get the thing out there. I want them to have not a keepsake, but I want something worth value to the people that were there at the beginning, So,
and Pop Culture says he'll be backing.
Oh, very good. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
And that's an interesting thing, though. I mean, when you say a raw, that is kind of what it is, though. Especially since you will be taking, hopefully, potentially, Grim 101 will eventually be some sort of film or television.
I hope so. I'd love to see it. And one thing I would tell people. Don't dream super big, but dream big. I think that even if you want to cast, figure out the actors that you would really like to have play those parts. I love playing around with that idea. Write it down. You never know. You never know who you're going to bump into that might know somebody or might be a relative. It's happened in my life so many times. It's not even funny. Especially with my mother being the youngest of 15 kids. There's a ton of people that I'm the 43rd grandchild. And I'm the last one. I'm the last one. And I know so many people that throughout my career that are cousins or, twice removed, whatever. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Everything that I'm doing right now, I can totally see, the biggest question is, how are they going to do it? Are they going to do it in live action? Are they going to do it animated? Are they going there's so many facets to it. And,
and that makes a difference because if you do it live action, you want a certain type of actor. If you do it animated, then you might want someone who's more comfortable as a voice actor.
Right. Maybe Glenn B. Fleming. You never know. So yeah, right.
Yeah, well, maybe
his whole new career. Yeah. But
I don't know. I mean,
you never know.
I mean, because there's a lot of cool voice actors that could.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got some great. I even I don't know why, but they let me do. The guys from Catalyst Comics ended up letting me do voiceover for one of their elder people in their audiobook, which are the audio. I don't know if it's an audio, if it's a promo, but anyway, I'm in that. So go figure, whatever. But there's, it's kind of fun in that regard. That's kind of neat. Add it to my repertoire.
You should probably talk to John because he is a voice actor.
Really? Okay. Well,
John
all right
Morris.
then. Awesome. Okay. Oh yeah. That's okay. That's right. I remember that now. Okay. I'll definitely shout out to John. Make sure you send me a message so we can talk. Always talk about that.
Yeah. So it's awesome. But so we got what's the situation with Zulu then?
So albino right now. I did it mainly for the kids. It was you did the review on it. Black and white comic on the inside. Kids can color it if they want to. Get kind of involved in production. They can print it off if they want to, or they can buy the book. We're going to add that add-on in the Kickstarter as well. There's going to be a lot of people that are. It's going to be kind of an introduction to me through this. So, but as far as albino, we're still doing the second one that's coming out. I've got everything done. I just wanted to wait because I was really waiting for the Comic-Cons to come back. Because I wanted them to be there for $2 or $3 so the kids could come up and buy something that was achievable, that they can afford with their money. I don't want to have something that's $15 and they can't. The kids, deciding whether he wants a T-shirt or whatever, from somebody else, and that's not what it's about. So that's why I kind of wanted to wait and I wanted to see how the waters were settling because we didn't know, right? We didn't know what was going to happen with this.
Yeah. I have a 1968 black Chrysler Newport.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the frame being tilted there too. That's a '67 Caddy that I've got there. But yeah, I'm a huge car culture guy. If you haven't figured that out, I love old cars and old motorcycles and old junk. You know.
Yeah, he just had his shot, so he's wide.
I'll see you later, John. Good health to you, John.
We'll catch you later, John.
Yep. Yeah, that's I'm a big fan. My dad was a car designer at Ford, but I'm a big fan of Chevys, Fords, you know, all of it, you know, Dodges, you name it. So, yeah,
just not foreign cars.
No, I love foreign. I really love foreign cars more than you know. Yeah,
you're just a car guy.
I'm just a car guy. I really like.
Are you telling me that you do watches, you do cocktails,
you
do cigars, and I do not see a car.
I've got a I didn't. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because cars are very expensive, and I don't have the I don't have the garage for it. I don't have, but I do have a '73 504 Honda Cafe bike that I'm working on, and it's almost all original on it, and it is a sweet bike, original paint, but it's a bar runner, just a something from point A to point B. But it's small enough to where I can handle it. It's here, because you got these ribbon lots on the lake. It's not like you got acreage. Some people do here, but I can't really, you can't see me, having a 65 Continental in the front of the house is not going to happen here. So, you can't do it.
I can remember when I lived up there.
Yeah. You didn't live too far from here. So
yeah. I used to live about 40 miles north of where he's from.
Right.
And my mom had some friends who lived in Tawas, where he's from.
Yep.
And they had a 57 Plymouth Fury.
Oh yeah. Great car.
Yeah.
Great car.
And they were trying to sell it to me. And
the 2-door or the 4-door?
4-door.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted it, but the frame was bent.
Yeah. Well,
and I said, and I didn't, I was like 15 or 16 at the time. So I really didn't recognize that at first.
Well, at that time you wouldn't, it's
right.
like,
you're
I didn't either when I was 17 I didn't either.
But my dad was like looking at it. And he's like, there's something wrong with that vehicle. I don't know what it is yet. And, but my best friend at the time was like, not quite a decade older than me. And we went over to look at the vehicle, and he's like, let me get under there for a minute.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, you don't want it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. I mean, it's hard in Michigan too. I mean, with all the salt and that, I don't even know they'd use salt now, or back then they might not have. They might use sand.
Well, they use salt back in this is like 90.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking back in the 80s, before that. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking when I was a kid, 70s, the salt and everything else they used to put on the roads. And, they're starting to use beet juice up here. Have you heard about that?
No.
Yeah.
Beet juice to melt the ice?
Yeah, because it has a chemical reaction, doesn't wear out the cars or anything. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant.
I've never
with all the
seen
beets here in Michigan, and they finally come up with this idea. It's amazing.
That's interesting.
The roads all are red now, but not really. I'm just teasing, but the Indian motorcycles are awesome. I've got a friend that's got an old Scout that's worth a fortune, and he still rides it. It's crazy.
But I mean, they got to have car shows up there. Plenty.
They do. Well, and they do. Even with COVID, they still had a car show here. They've got quite a few people that have moved up here from the big three, and they've just settled up here. And a lot of the guys, a lot of the women have after their husbands die, they still keep the cars, which is great.
That's what I'm saying.
It's great.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you've got a means to go make shows with cars.
Yes, absolutely. And we've talked about doing that too. We always go to car shows. I just don't video them. I enjoy that. I haven't done that for a year. At least a year. But
I understand with the
eventually we'll get back into it. And Chris and we've talked about getting maybe an older truck, that kind of thing. But and a lot of it too. I'm getting older now. Birthday's tomorrow, and I don't know if I really want to be doing wrenching on cars. I want one that can start and go. That was the thing. And a lot of it, I love rat rods. I would love to have a rat rod that just They have just a little bit of clear coat on it. All the rust is still there, and just let it ride. I'm good with that as long as it's safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, even the motorcycle might be moving on sometime. I don't know, but
yeah.
Well,
that's interesting though. I mean,
what?
I did not know that. I didn't know that you had that love of cars.
Yeah, I do.
I'm learning something.
Yep. Yeah, I do.
Because I'm not a car guy at all.
Yeah, it's in my blood. I mean, being raised in Detroit, and then my dad was a car designer. It's you can't get around it.
Well, see, my parents
can't get around it.
Well, see, my father was from Detroit.
Yeah, you're right.
But
right.
he was not. He went military, of course, to get out of Detroit, basically.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, he was into cars when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
He had his time with it.
Sure.
I just never really. I mean, I respect them. I have certain models that I love a '63 Vet. Stingray.
Love them. Yeah, me too, man. That's a car.
I love certain certain models, certain things.
Sure.
But as far as me being into cars or into motorcycles, I'm not really an aficionado of them.
Right. Well, and you get a lot of the guys. I mean, that's their it's like video games. I know a lot of guys my age or a little bit younger that are completely into online gaming. That's all they do, and it's a distraction. And that's one thing I didn't like about with vehicles. Vehicles, at least you got sometimes transportation, but sometimes it's a detriment financially. I know guys that have you've seen them, cars on blocks in front of people's homes. They don't have enough money to do the brakes or on, and they're not safe. And I that's where it turns me off. Right. That's where I don't like it. Or you get the ones that it's all trailer princesses. They're all they drive the cars to the thing on a trailer, pull it down, park it, show it off, don't start it, don't do anything, put it back on the trailer, and they take it away. I'm like, you got to be able to drive them. You got to drive them to and from, and that's one thing I like about the Dream Cruise in Detroit every year, because they make them, they make them do it. They make them drive them, and that's and I still I love foreign cars too. I mean, I'm a big fan of. My dad was from Wales, so I mean everything over there, Aston Martin, Range Rovers, I'm all about that. I love Mercedes. I think Mercedes is a great car. So yeah, I had a ton of Volvos when I had 240 Volvos.
I bet somewhere in your idea package you have something about cars.
How's that? What do you mean?
Somewhere in your ideas of comics or ideas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple of them. I've got a story that I haven't released yet. That's probably going to be another few years down the road. But it's there's definitely a Pontiac Chieftain, 50. I think it was the last year, 55, 56 Pontiac Chieftain. Yeah, that's a good car in this story. It's a really good car, and it fits the guy that drives it totally. He's a Native American, and he's badass, and it's really cool. So, yeah, it's a really cool story. And that's a while from now. Okay, it's a while from now. You got to have some, keep your cards a little bit close to your vest, But,
no, that's fine. I'm not asking you.
But I just enjoy the lines of cars. I think that and I like it. I like changing them. I don't necessarily. Some of them are I've made a lot of money doing the car shows, though. I go to I've done it where I've got client base that they do T-shirts, and they want their Ford Fairlane on a T-shirt and that kind of stuff years ago. And then I've done other ones that are more characterized, more Rat Fink type stuff, and
just depends. That I have done.
It's fun.
I've gone to
a lot of fun
shows. I've gone to. This is the funny part. You go to a motorcycle show, and here come all the tattoo artists.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you come
the pinstripers. Oh yeah.
The pinstripers.
The guys are amazing. Those guys are so awesome.
And it's hilarious because they'll have these tattoo artists, and they're like, these guys will come in and like, I want you to tattoo something for me, but I want you to freehand it, and I want you to do this, that, and the other. And they're like, I ain't got time to design that, man.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Right.
Yeah. That'll be $50 for that. That'll be $75 for that.
That was something new this year, is that I had people, I've had 2 people buy my artwork for a tattoo, and it's on people. And that's really surreal. I've never had, thank God they're both women. They're both very pretty women, but I was flat. I was just, you're flattered, you know what I mean? To have somebody put something on themselves that you drew. It's just, it's, yeah.
Yeah. Well, wow. Yeah.
I was completely blown away when they
Yeah,
asked,
I bet you were. I bet you
Yeah.
were.
Very
Yeah.
cool. You know?
Well, I've had them with women and men, but it's very interesting because it's not just what gender they are; it's what they wanted, and where they want it, and everything,
right,
you know,
right,
because,
and the size that they want. Some of them want their whole back done. It's like a major thing, and then you got to find a tattoo artist that'll actually do that. Some tattoo, and I respect that. Some tattoo artists won't work off of an original, which I get that they have to do their own little take on it. I get what they're saying there, and that's cool. I respect that. But it's harder for the client. It's harder for, because they just bought my art and they want it on them. But some artists won't do that. So, a little disclaimer.
Exactly. Well, that's right. That's what I'm saying. I will sit there with the artist, the tattoo person, and say, okay, can you, the three of us work it out?
Yeah.
Kind of so that you are in that situation.
Ultimately, you get what they want. Yeah. Right. That's good. Yeah.
But I've done that before.
That's cool.
But that, that was only done because of expediency and the moment.
Yeah.
Because, when you're at like a Sturgis event, which is what Laughlin River Run is.
Yeah.
The guy wants tattoos. He's wanting to do them as fast as he can to make as much money as he can.
Sure.
He doesn't have time to design for someone else.
Sure.
So if he can do it, if someone else can design for him.
Yeah. And there's other things too, for us to draw it, it's one thing, but I mean, you're actually breaking skin. There's needles and there's blood, and it's, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, it's,
sure. Absolutely.
But
Pop Culture says, I always wanted an older Dodge Power Wagon.
Yes. I saw one a couple days ago. Actually, we had there's a local restaurant. You might know it, the Lodge. I don't know if you've ever remembered the Lodge, but they had one out there. They had another, a big, huge military Dodge too. It was gigantic. 6 wheels. It was just massive. It must have come from the Air Force. They bought it when they shut the place down. But man, that was cool. But yeah, Power Wagons are great. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's a couple of them I know up here. So
yeah, well, what exactly have they done with the base? As far as I understand, the airstrip still exists.
So, well, they had some problems really. The dumping, not the dumping, but there's a lot of chemical problems now.
Yeah, there was
wells,
some chemical dumping and issues with that.
They had some issues with a lot of the wells were contaminated. The lakes around the area were contaminated, and that's a problem. But Coletta is the company that they source. So if you have a repair on a 747 or whatever, they fly them here, and then they service them completely. It's amazing. You go up there 30 minutes away and you don't see an airplane. We've got fighter jets that fly by here, probably once a week. But they also have these, Coletta does all this major thing for people from like Russian jets all the way up to, airliners, whatever. And they come in from all over the place, all over the world. And so you drive down there and you pass the airbase and there's lines of huge Boeings all over the place. It's crazy. And they've got these huge, the hangars full of people. And it's a good business. There's a lot of money coming in there, but it's basically a service depot now for a lot of these major airlines.
Okay. So, and yet they don't have any, it's still, the population's still like nothing there.
No, it's pretty big. Well, the other thing is too, all the rentals, all the cottages are all in rent, because they're being rented by the people that are servicing. These guys come up from all over the place. There was a big concern about COVID because they had some spike there a while ago. You got a city. I mean, it's basically a city there. Plus, but yeah, that was. But yeah, there's tons of places that rent to these technicians, and they make huge money. These techs are making bank.
Okay, well, that's kind of weird because I mean, I've seen pictures of what Oscoda looks like now. And it looks like the same place.
It does, yeah. Well, it is. It's a destination spot. It's not like it's, and it fluctuates. The weekends, even here, the weekends we have 90,000 people. Then it drops back down to 10,000 people. It's what happens. But yeah, that's
it's
living
weird,
here.
You know,
It is.
You know, and I don't know.
Well, if you can, the way I look at it is if you can have an industry that can support, you know, you're making $70,000 a year, those people are going to stay.
Yeah.
Period. And those guys, $70,000 a year goes a hell of a long way up here. If it's done correctly, that's generational wealth for a lot of people up here. So
it is.
I'm just throwing a number out there, but you know.
Yeah. Right. Well,
overtime and everything else.
70,000 is basically not average household income this day and age. So, but but still, but up there, yes, because up there the average household income is closer to like 25 to 30.
Right. So and it's seasonal work most of the time. So now you've got an established market. It's different. It's a different way of being. It's all how you look at it.
Yep. You know? Yep. Alrighty then. Let's see. Well, we've been in an hour, and you said you had tomorrow is your birthday. It
is. Yeah, I'm turning 50. Yep. Last day of 49. Last day of my 40s right now. So yep. Crazy. I can't believe I just can't believe it.
You've reached halfway to your goal.
Yeah, right. Well, right. I mean, Tuesday I did that show, the TED Talks, the next 50 years. Yeah. If I'm fortunate enough to live that long. But yeah.
If the planet is fortunate enough to live that long.
Yeah. We'll just take it day to day. But yeah. That's all you can do. But
I mean, we all talk about, what's going to be World War III? Well, World War III might be invasion of the pandemics.
It could be anything. Yeah. I mean, there's after seeing everything this last year, it's we're the old proverb, "May you live in interesting times," is very true, because there's what do you take away from this, right? You take away on the terrible things that have happened. People have lost their lives and everything else with this, but you see all the different things that are broadcasting what I've done this last year and how many people I've helped, how many people you've helped. It's all how you look at it,
right.
And it's still terrible, don't get me wrong, but
oh sure,
you try to look for the silver lining somewhere,
Yeah, well, it's not just
thank you. Thanks, Pop.
Yeah, it's not just who we've helped or not helped. I mean, when we both started 2 or 3 years ago, really.
Yeah.
Doing this.
Yeah. Yep.
And before all this pandemic, and both of us had an attitude of it wasn't about us.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
I mean,
period.
And I know a lot of people think that with me, because I've always talked about what I have done for others, that it's about me, and they don't like me for it. But the reason I always bring that up is not because I'm patting myself on the back. It's because there's so many people out there, and we know who we are, who I mean, who thump their chests and say, look what I've done. And it's like, yeah, look what you've done, but okay, here's what I've done.
Well, and I think that everybody needs to show their portfolio, if you want to call it that. I think that that's good. I think that there's in corporate America, they had it was almost distractionary. It was and I talked about it on my show quite a few times, where they would point out what you did wrong, so that people wouldn't see what happened to them.
Right.
And I heard something on YouTube this week, and it really struck a chord. The gentleman was talking about, he's at the time he was overweight and everything else, and he made this, he became a Navy SEAL, and it's an amazing story. And he says, everybody's positioning themselves. How do you put it? Don't care about what everybody thinks, and this is why. What everybody thinks about you. He said, because people are posing. The only difference is if they've got something on you, it's just that their shit hasn't been exposed yet, is what he said. So he was like, we're all playing this game, and some of the stories that you have, you might not want to You know what I mean? You might not want to say things. You don't want to throw stones, all that stuff.
Exactly.
And that's, you know, I don't have the energy for that. And you know, it's like, whatever, you know, I just forget it. It's not worth it. You know what? This is who I am. This is me. This is what I've tried to help people. And that's the way, and that's what I told people on Tuesday when they checked in with me on my TED Talks. I said, I just don't give a shit anymore. So here's the deal. I'm going to help as many people as I can. If you're on the same mindset, if you're the same mindset, join in. If not, see ya. Good luck to you. Best of health to you. And then I'm on with it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a, you know.
Well, you know, exactly. Well, somebody asked me about if I was going to contribute to a certain person's new Kickstarter fund for their new anthology series. You know who I mean, I think.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a great series, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I like it. I think it's good.
I'm not against them doing it and everything, but you know, I'm not associated with them anymore. But that's a responsible way to do it. It's not to bash or it's not to take down or because you know what, this is another thing too. I heard we're a villain in everybody's story. In somebody's story, we're a villain. You know, so and that's, you know, if you ask my ex-wife, there's probably things that I did in my past that I just you know, what she went through or whatever, or what I went through. There's all things that, you know what, it's not big deal. All right, next. Okay, you got the next sunrise. Let's go. Let's do something good. Okay, who can we help today? What can we accomplish for other people? And in return, we get something back for it. I've been saying it. It's happened to me for years. And I'm, you know, and that's one reason why I'm on your show, because I know who you are. You know, I know where you've come from. We did a spectacular interview on TED Talks with you. Really candid interview that you did not have to tell people everything about your history, but you did, and I appreciate it. And it's, you know, I know who you are. You know, some people said I was way too candid.
No, I think that it was. I consider it a privilege that you're on. So, and I think anybody that really wants to know you and know where you're from, to understand where you're at now, you know, and I'll tell everybody straight up, you know, I consider Lewis a friend. So if you guys, you know, if you want to plug into what he's doing, I do.
He literally does consider me a friend. He considers me part of his tribe.
Absolutely.
His tribe is so tight and small.
It is. I have a very small circle, and I know your core of who you are, and I think that's it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. That
was like I just realized something. You know, I was looking at that when I saw that, you know, your tribe, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
There's only like that many people, and I'm part of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, that I appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope that it. You know what? You don't need me to prove your worth, man. But I think that there's always people throwing stones. So you can either build a foundation with stones and build your empire, or you can let them break the windows that you have. So how do you do that? You know, and I choose that I can take the energy of that negative and use it for a positive. We can spin it, not to drag anybody down. No. Okay, that's cool. That's your opinion. Awesome. I'll see you later. Exactly. I got the next 50 years to worry about, right? And that's the way I look at it. And that's the way I run my business too. So
speaking of your business, we're going to continue on with Ted Davies, artistry.com.
Sure.
Which is your website.
Yep.
And that is quite the site.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, you know why it is though, is I've got a great tech team. Alex, his last name's Grimm. Alex Grimm is a fantastic tech guy, and Caitlin Ryan she's fantastic. They're both just super to work with. And you know, you've got to. I'm not good with websites and stuff. I can tell them I can do my artwork.
I'm terrible at websites. I'm kind of like, I kind of want to talk to your team to put my site together.
Sure, absolutely. I know that they're open. There's, you know, and that's something that you've got to delegate. You really have to. I know what I'm good at, and you surround you surround yourself with people that that you know you can trust, but also do what they're good at. That's the trick. It's like when in comic books, you know, I try to do it all, but you know what? Next time I think I'm going to have a letterer. Next time I think I'm going to do this. Next time, you know, because I've got people, you know.
That is the sound of his.
Yeah, there's it's been a great page, and it's nice too that people can go right to it and just buy things right off of it.
Yes, I was.
It's a huge, huge relief. I don't have to worry about it.
Ready for sharing here. Just give me
No
a
problem.
Second. There we go. I'm going to Shop Ted.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. So
and this is Ted Davies Artistry Shop Ted. So let me go ahead and.
That's the Retrieve book, actually.
Yes.
Retrieve promo. I hope it doesn't do the same thing I had happen, but
I actually froze it.
Did it? It happened. Well, I don't know. Something's going on tonight because it's.
No, I froze it.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one-stop shop was the biggest thing. Thank you. The one-stop shop was one of the most important things, because what I had before was I had all these different sites that you have to go to, and now it's one hub. The
only thing is, it's like for clothes you have to go to Threadless.
Yes, that's the only other thing, and that was good because Threadless offers so many different things. I mean, from bath rugs to coffee cups.
Yeah.
So
again, you can pre-order the Grim 101 coming soon off of the Kickstarter.
Right.
You can still order 1 and 2 of Retrieve.
Correct. They'll be part of the add-on. There'll be an additional run in the future, but this will be the last of the series of what I had originally run. So I think there's only 30 spots left on that, I think. So
okay. Same with Albino Zulu #1.
Correct. There's I think 20 of those I think left, and then the next one we haven't produced it yet, so that one will be out soon.
That will be a pre-order.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. And that one I don't think I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter on that. That'll just be standard.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's going to be a smaller book like the first one, right?
Right, 5x8. And the other thing is too, you can order all the PDFs on the Grim not, but Retrieve 1 and 2 and Albino Zulu 1. They're all PDF you can purchase as well on the site.
All righty. So, yes, and we have TED Talks, which I guess takes
you right to YouTube. And there's a few things that we're going to update soon, but and then Ted's Tribe. We got all these different things like that. Yeah, it goes through. It's a pretty good format. I've been really fortunate to. But again, you get the right people plugged into what you're doing, and it helps.
Yeah, that's where I found out I was part of your tribe.
Right. I told you I was putting you on there.
Yeah, you did, and it's just I hadn't really had a chance to really look at the page.
Okay, and that's fine. That's now you know. So
yeah, and really a lot of cool stuff here. And I have looked at Brian K. Morris, who does
Rising Tide. Our broadcasting network has been doing very, very well. And that's again affiliating yourself with the right mindset and the right people.
Yeah, and one of these days I'm going to need to sit down and talk with Brian. I just haven't been able to do that.
Let me know. I'd be more than happy to be in on that conversation if you want. So no problem.
Well, I've watched him, and it's kind of I don't know how to explain it. He's interesting, but he baffles me a little bit too. Does that make sense to you?
Yep. No, he does. He's an enigma. He is absolutely I don't know how he does his shows I don't know how he does it. I don't think I could. I'm not to that. There's no way I could be at that level of how he does his show. And so many people love him. He's got such a following. And he's compassionate to the end. So empathetic. I mean, he helps everybody. I mean, he's I consider him a good friend now. And I've never met him. I've never met him physically. Same with you. I've never met you physically. It's, these are, that's the power of technology we've got now. So,
yeah, I'm trying to get that. Now, what is Talk to Ted?
So Talk to Ted is basically if you're going to be, if you want me to, in the future, we can go, I can do different shows, that kind of stuff. If there's questions, if there's things that, you're publishing ideas or anything like that, you can always, toss me a email there. Or if there's a scheduled appointment, if you want me to be a special guest at one of the panels for one of the Comic-Cons in the future. Okay. That might be changing over because I'm having Lisa Malone do most of my bookings now, which that's been that's been helping me a lot. The publicist side, it frees me up. And that's the other thing too. You get to the point where you know people's expertise. It makes it a lot easier on you, a lot easier. So
it does. Of course, I did not know about Lisa at that time. I contacted you directly, but that's because we're friends.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
And he's like, he's like, you need to talk to Lisa.
I'm sorry. We're friends, but I've got I have a kind of a thing now. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be, that way.
Well, no. It was just, no. It was fine. It was just
it's
like,
not like I got peeps. You got to call Lisa. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It was fine. It was just like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Right. So she's my gatekeeper now. So
yeah, that's fine.
But it's all good. You got my number. But
yeah.
But
no,
yeah,
it's more like let me check with her, make sure everything's cool.
Yeah, because I don't know. Sometimes my schedule, like I overbooked. I think there's two other shows coming up, and I almost overbooked. Or she must, and there might be something that she didn't tell me about, and I didn't realize I had, or vice versa. So yeah,
exactly. That's the thing. That's why you need.
That's why I have to check. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying that was wrong. It's like, but isn't that what your phone's for?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right.
No, it's not. Because you forget to type stuff in your computer.
Right. Well, and then you've got one point of contact. That way, okay, you're not getting like sick. Because I've got right now, I've got two different calendars. I've got one for my desk and one for the wall, and I have to write them both down because I'm still old school. We'll go on Google Calendar or whatever. It's one thing, but I'm still doing it, and so I have to handwrite it on both of them. And if I don't do that, it just makes it a lot easier. Lisa handles all the bookings and all the publicity stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Press releases, that kind of stuff. I don't have to deal with it. So
yeah,
makes Ted a little bit happier guy around the house. So
around the house, yeah.
Yeah, Chris appreciates it. So
yeah. But you do a lot of stuff on your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
which is Ted Davies art still
artistry. Yep, Ted Davies artistry. Yeah, on YouTube. Yep. And
it's like you do cigar show.
Yep, we do once a month. We do we were talking about this earlier. I don't like sectioning myself into a box. I think that YouTube is really good if you have a niche, because you'll start getting more subscribers and all that stuff. But that's not me. I would rather, I want to do a variety of things that interest me. Ted Davies, it's YouTube. It's not somebody else's tube, right? It's YouTube. It's YouTube. So, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
you want to make sure that it's you. So I'm trying to I'm just doing stuff that's fun for me. The watch,
cool.
The watches, cigars, and it's fun. TED Talks is one thing. And that was something that just kind of worked out really well with the interview and the drawing and, getting my artwork out there in my books. But I wanted something that would, it's about not just getting content out there, but,
we wanted to show people that you weren't just this thing.
Exactly. And because I think that people miss the mark on a lot of it. You see all these people that are just, they're posing. It's not really them, it's one thing when you put a fedora on or whatever, and you don't, I want people to see that, there's a human being behind the fedora. There's actually some creativity, and there's a person here that you might not like the books, but you might like the watch or might like a cigar. And these are just things to be a human being, and it's like the drinking with the Davies show. That was something that just fell into place. Christine's got this, we wanted to show people that you can make old drinks that are out of fashion, and it would be fun, and it starts your Friday out right, and it's great. And I get to have time with my wife, and you guys get to see, you get to see what, she's super creative. I mean, she really is kind of taking the show over. I'm just holding the puppy, I'm chasing the puppy around 10 minutes out of it. You're trying to make sure it doesn't bark, but she's, it's reality. That's the whole thing. And it's a good reality. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like me. I'm always wearing some sort of shirt with some sort of,
right.
Is that really who I am when no, it's not.
Yeah.
But
you know what?
Yes, I like Star Wars. Yes,
sure.
I like Batman and Superman or things like that. Yes, to a point. But when you see me in real life, this is not what I wear. Because when I go out, I wear a shirt with a pocket on it.
Yeah.
Because that's where my phone is.
Yep.
People.
And when you're at a Comic-Con, you're drawing, you're doing all these other things. People. I just wanted to make it so that it was more comfortable for people. Hey, check. Oh, what's Ted got going this week? Okay, yeah, I've got 3 or 4 different shows. The cigar shows once a month. The TED Talks timepieces was more for me. It's just a selfish thing. I just wanted it to be, people are like, what are you doing that? I'm like, I didn't know you were into that. It's like cars. They didn't know I'm doing it because it's fun, and people they might want to know. It takes 20 minutes. You can see a new watch every week, or how to change a battery, whatever. It might be something fun. And if not, then we'll do something else,
And it's informational.
Yeah.
I mean, people, well, I don't know. Why are you teaching me how to change a battery on a watch? Because
You know how many hits I've gotten on that, and people have watched my other videos because of that? There's a lot to this. There's a lot to this.
There's a lot of them who watch it because
huge.
So probably because,
and there's affiliated marketing that I haven't even talked about yet. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that watches are sent to me for free. There's a lot of things that, so you've got to.
I had to assume that because I'm like, he doesn't have all those. He didn't buy all those watches.
Some of them, I mean, but some of my collection. But yeah, but that's the thing. I want people to see there's more to it than just comic books behind me and Funko Pops. You know what I mean? It's not about that.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, when people ask me, do you buy every single comic that you review? Well, no. Some people send me some.
Right, but in your defense though, you invest a lot in comic. You have, I mean, you and I both do.
I tell them exactly.
Yeah, and this is not sponsored by such and such, and that's the other thing too. Sponsors are real important, and I want to make sure that I bring that up too, because sponsorships are forget YouTube with trying to reach 1,000. That's fine. I would rather have, and I said this on Willow's show last night. If you have 200 people or even 50 people on your YouTube channel, if those 50 people are watching you week after week, I'd rather have that than 1,000 or 10,000 and only 100 watch or 50 watch. And I've seen that. I've seen people grow super fast and then only 20 people watch the shows. It's about views. It's not about, and my sponsors understand that. And that's, look for sponsors, look for people that are trying to make it. They're trying to make it, but they don't have a huge amount of money. And you've got a platform for them. They can help, they can help you, and vice versa. And I think that's more important than it is to get monetized. It's always nice getting monetized with YouTube. I don't mean that, but sponsorships are important.
But I look at the people who are getting monetized. It's like, it's like, they're like Graham was talking about his monetization and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, so you got monetized. Yeah.
And it's cool. It's great.
It's cool, but big deal.
And the other thing too is there's not a whole lot of control on that because it can fluctuate. Yeah. See, I don't necessarily like that. I would rather have something to where my sponsors, I know what's, and there might be,
that's what he was talking about last night. He goes, well, last night it was said it was green, and then now it's like blank, nothing. Like I didn't even push the button for monetization. What's going on? I don't know what's going on. Like,
and there's just too much. Yeah. And I like having control of that kind of stuff. So.
I have a question for Ted from Pop Culture Avenger. Since you're a coffee connoisseur, can you recommend a good coffee maker? I've bought types of coffee for home brew, and it never tastes the same, not even close.
Okay, so you want the coffee maker itself or the coffee roaster, the person that makes the coffee, or you want I bought all different types of coffee for home brew. No, okay. Indian River Roasting. I mean, my sponsor, if that's what you're asking. Good coffee, if it's a coffee roaster, the person that makes it is IndianRiverRoasting.com. They're the ones that I would go with.
Or do you mean the actual machine?
He said, I bought all different types of coffee for home brew.
Okay.
Never tastes the same, not even close. So if you can just clarify that.
Yeah.
If you can, that would, but Indian River Roasting though is, Pete does such a good job, and it's small batch, and there's really, it's pretty remarkable what he can accomplish.
Yeah. I don't know. I very rarely drink coffee, and when I do, I ruin it.
Oh, okay. Well,
and when I say I ruin it because I drink it with ice cream in it.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. No, that's good, man. I'm digging that. And there's all kinds of coffee. There's cold brew. There's so many different things.
Well, I'll drink Starbucks like mocha cold, once in a while. But even then, I'm not really supposed to because of my diabetes.
I understand that too. That's understandable. So,
He just says
the maker. Okay, so you know what I use? I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've got a Mr. Coffee, and the thing works great. I've had Keurigs for years, and for whatever reason, the last few years they've been just not working. They don't last more than a year and a half, maybe. They crack. The plastic cracks, and even the one I bought my daughter broke. So, and they weren't the cheap version either. They were the more expensive one, but my Mr. Coffees are great. I mean, go to Walmart and get yourself a 12-cup Mr. Coffee, and I'm telling you, they work brilliantly. A lot of it, too, though, is are you getting beans or is it ground already? Because that's another big thing. If you're grinding your own beans, it's a different experience completely. But yeah, it really just depends on that. But I would just, honestly, Mr. Coffee, you can always go out and get bigger and better. And, you know, I sold Miele coffee makers. There were built-ins and cabinetry and that, and they were awesome. Filtered water, the whole thing cost a fortune, but you know, I never had one in my home. So, but yeah, that was. I
think my dad has a Bun.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, Bun, commercial wise, buns are great. Bun is great. But then they've got like the pour over is a new one too. The pour over has been great. You heat up the water, you put it in a filter, and then you just literally just manually just pour over. I don't know what your time frame is in the morning, but yeah, it's the same idea. It's the same idea, but
that's what he has. He has the pour over the.
Yep. And then you can use a French press too. They've got the French press ones. It just depends on how you're, what you're looking at. But I think for convenience sake, Mr. Coffee. Okay. They're so affordable, and if you don't like it, you can get another one. I mean, it's something else, because I mean, they're like, I think this one was like $30. We've had it for 5 or 10 years at least, $35, and they're just dynamite.
Okay.
Got a good warranty on them too. Yeah, I always look for something, like I said, value. If you look at my watches, I don't own any Rolexes or Omegas yet, but I just don't see the value in dropping tens of thousands of dollars on a watch that a Casio can do for 50.
It's bling.
Yeah, right. And it's fine. If that's your thing, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a Casio watch from
what?
1993.
Yeah. Does it still work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still works.
They're amazing. I think the world of them.
Those glow-in-the-dark calculators.
Yeah, right.
Right. And it's like, but I don't use it anymore.
Right.
I never wear it because I have the cell phone. And
sure. And right. And that's one thing that's one reason why I still wear watches, because I get away from the cell phone. Because I'm on it way too long. That's one thing with the puppy here, Calypso. If I'm on it too long, she's like right in my face. She's like, she gets me off of that thing. So it's good. But
well, no, I'm not on my phone. Usually, I'll have my phone off for 2 days straight.
Yeah, I've noticed. Anyway, go ahead.
But
I'm just kidding. That's what Lisa told me. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, but it's more of a thing of well, I'm available online. I'm more at the computer directly.
Right. Yep.
Because I only turn on the phone when I'm leaving the house.
Right.
As a rule, because most people can reach me online.
Anyway, yeah, right. That's how we communicate usually. So it's usually with your messenger or whatever. Yep.
Exactly. So it's like, if someone's going to call me, what are they going to call me for?
Right.
Even my doctor emails me.
Yeah.
So, it's like, anything that's of any importance is usually through that.
Right.
So, but what annoys me is when I turn my phone on, I'll get like 3 days of messenger.
Right.
Ding, ding, ding,
right.
Ding, ding, ding.
The one thing about email on your phone is something else too, because it's all mail, primary mail, social mail. Mm-hmm. I've got all man. And it's crazy because spam sometimes gets through, and then sometimes the other emails that you need go to spam, and it's like, and you miss them.
I never check my mail on my phone.
No, you don't? Okay. It's just the convenience factor for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I can't even open. I don't even have Yahoo app on my phone to check my Yahoo mail.
Yeah.
I could check Gmail. I could check Gmail account on my phone if I wanted.
Yeah.
That won't that works okay.
Yeah.
But,
And that's what I do. I mean, everything's set up through Gmail or through the websites or whatever. It's at all.
But my Gmail account, I only get like maybe 4 messages a day.
Yeah.
So it's not that big a deal.
That's good though. I mean, I think I've got 95 today.
Oh wow.
Since 8 o'clock.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got that's one thing too that's really bizarre. I was talking to Chris before we got on air, and my wife and I.
But you've got people talking to you.
Come on. We had a guy. It's weird because, you know, when you're global, it's a weird thing because timelines are so different, and you don't realize it. And you know, I got a happy birthday wish from my one of my buddies in Japan. And there, it's my birthday, and here it's not. And he's like, "Happy birthday!" And I'm like, "It's, you know," I'm like, "Okay, thanks, man, I appreciate it." And I got him back. It was on Messenger. I got him back, and I'm like, "It's weird." If you would have said 30 years ago that it's just such a bizarre. It's fun. It's fun. It's like when you watch New Year's Night, and how it progresses through the. And it's already the new year. That's fun.
There's a lot of people who are like, yeah, I want to be on your show, but I'm in Australia.
Yeah, right. And it's like, what time? Yeah. Well, you know, and Glenn and I have gone back and forth, being 4 or 5 hours difference. I've got certain days that I talk to him on certain things that we're working on, and then I've got Craig in California. So it's like, so I'm trying to, you know, I don't want to email him too early in the morning because it's like, you know, it's 7 o'clock here, it's like 3 o'clock there, and it's, you know, whatever.
That's why I'll be like in the middle of the day. It'll be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, our time. Yeah. And I'll send him an email, and he's like, "I'm in a meeting."
Yeah. Right.
And that meeting is probably someone like he's talking to someone in Hollywood, and I didn't know that.
You've got, and it's cool with the watches because I've got all these world time watches. So I have them set. It's like having the, you know, it's like the old boardrooms where you used to have 5 different clocks behind them, you know, and that's fun because that way I don't have to look at my phone. And I can just click on it, or I've got I did a special on one of the watches. It's like the size of a dinner plate. It's got 3 different times on one dial. So you can see it, and it's fun because you don't have to click through anything, but you just leave it on the desk, and you know what time it is. You have to do the math, and it's really, really helpful. It's really helpful. But yeah, we're all global. We are all global. So I don't care, you know, whoever's embargo, whatever's, you know, this gets, you know, we're not bringing in this country's crap or whatever. We're all global, so it doesn't matter to me. You know, if you're a good person, I don't care where you live. You know, I'll work with you. But
I mean, we're not.
If I've learned anything the last 50 years, life's too short. You know, life's too short.
Put the whole COVID thing aside. It's the same thing as when, you know, are we putting walls up again? Yeah. I know. I mean, we just tore down a wall. We told Gorbachev to tore down a wall.
Right.
Trump wants to put up a wall. Yeah. It's like,
well, and I think that we're in an age right now that we can tear them down. I mean, we can do it even if the walls are physically there. We can still tear them down. We're doing it right now. We've got a huge sledgehammer that we're using right now that can break down walls. And I just try to put my energy towards that. I look towards that, and I think you do too. It gets hard sometimes because we get caught up in our stuff, and sometimes
we get caught up in our own stuff, but we also get caught up in the frustration of not just our own headspace, but other people's headspace. Yeah. And I think that's something that I talked about Tuesday. I can't control people. I can't. Exactly. And that's been a hard thing for me the last 50 years. Not to want to change somebody's, and it's not fair to them. It's not fair to anybody. Them doing it to me or vice versa. So, you know, I made a commitment that I'm not doing it. Change them so much as I want. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Do you want them to respect your opinion or what?
No. We want them to understand that we understand their position, and we've heard their position. Yeah. And it doesn't need to be constantly screamed.
And it doesn't have to be debated anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. We get the point. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, I also hear and I understand what they're saying. Well, yeah, we've been heard, but we haven't been heard, because if we've been heard, why isn't something being done about it?
Because that's life. That's life.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes it is done. And then, but
Yeah. And it's like the situation with the officer who was now convicted, and that is that is justice.
And I agree.
And I am glad that justice was served towards him. And that is, again, just one step.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think that I know a lot of great cops, a lot of really good people, and I've known some that aren't so nice.
Exactly.
And I think that
I know some guys that I just dealt with the other 2 days ago that just, are just complete jackasses, and it has nothing to do with race. It just, they want to be power tripping. That's it.
And they're flexing, and I get that. I understand a lot of them have a lot of stress, and I get that. And I think that,
and again, I'm going to say, I'm not going to get into the whole thing of the situation.
Yeah.
But I handled things badly in that situation a little bit too. My dad handled things a little bit badly as well. But things are what they are.
Yeah.
And but you got to also know when to step back and take a breath and say,
yeah,
okay.
you do. And I think that right now everything's because everything that's going on right now with the pandemic, it's inflamed. You know what I mean? So people are acting out. I was talking to Chris about there was a gentleman in Minnesota that was killed over the weekend. He was a hockey player, a hockey coach, and he was in a bar, and it was just a stupid situation that didn't have to happen. And his daughters don't have a dad anymore, and his wife doesn't have her husband, and it's just
I wouldn't want to.
No, I don't think I would either. To be honest with you, I know some really good people that are really struggling with it.
Yeah, it's not even a question of being a cop in these times. I probably wouldn't have wanted to have been a cop really at any point. My father worked security.
Yeah, and that's security is not easy. I mean, security is almost harder, I think, sometimes.
It is because you don't get to have a firearm.
You don't have authority. And you're really putting yourself out there. Yeah.
Well, my father was a security guard in Laughlin Casino during
that's right. I remember you telling me.
Laughlin River riot between the Hells Angels and the Mongol biker gangs.
Wow.
And he had to get people out of the line of fire and take down assailants, basically.
Yeah.
Without a firearm. And, this is what I'm saying. I kind of like look at people like these, MPs that were kind of being snotty, the other day. And I'm just like, yeah.
And the word entitlement, it can go a lot of different ways. And I've seen people that, I almost don't call it entitlement. It's just misguided. It's almost like they think that they're doing it right, and it's okay in that respect, as long as they're not harming somebody. When they start harming somebody, that's right. That's what I mean.
That's the thing.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't recognize that.
Right. That's exactly it. They don't recognize it.
But I'm going to be fair.
Yeah.
The reason they didn't recognize it because they weren't made aware of that. And
right.
So, and I didn't realize that my dad didn't make it clear. So
well, see that's the right there. That's the power, because you've analyzed it to the point where you didn't dehumanize them, and I think that's a big part of all of our problem. One thing everybody asks me, I've had this asked me.
Well, believe me, I was I did dehumanize them at first, but I got to the point of rationalization.
Right,
too.
Right, but you weren't like you didn't act on that. You didn't act like angry or aggressively towards, that's the problem. We don't step back. And tempers flare. I get it. I totally understand that. But, we're in a situation now to where we really got to just think before we act. And that's hard because you want to be heard. I know being bullied or whatever as a kid, I know how I act now because, and in business and that, because I feel, you feel that way. You feel like you've been bullied. You're back at that, you're 8 years old or 9 years old again. And if we can move past that and see that, they think that we're all human, first off. Okay, what are they going through? Are they going through a tough time right now? Or are they just a jerk? Are they just completely off the reservation? You really got to, for your own safety, you have to look at it like that.
Yep.
But I think that there's the fact that you had that idea to reevaluate it That's hopeful. And I think that's what we need in today's world. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. So
yeah, it is. Yeah.
But we all have other things going on too. I mean,
sure. Yep. We all have our. I mean,
it's the same thing.
Issues.
It's not just that. I mean, it's the same thing. I've had situations where, I don't know if I told you this, but my next door neighbor, I woke up one morning and I had the U.S. Marshals out in front of my front yard.
No.
Yeah, we had like 20 U.S. Marshals in full riot gear in front of my front yard, like about a month and a half ago.
Holy cow!
They arrested the son of my next door neighbor.
No,
and I did not know what was going on or anything. And he's not even someone who lives there. He was just happened to be there. They happened to find him or whatever. And it was just like, okay, what's this about? And that was a kind of a freaky situation.
Right. Because your mind goes, completely. They probably had it completely under control, but still
Well, it doesn't matter whether they have it under control. You don't need 20 guys.
No, probably not.
In full gear, like you're going to break into combat zone.
Right.
I was like, what the? I was like, what? I actually thought they were going the other house next to me, because those people have people that show up in the middle of the night that you wonder what's going on.
I see.
It was like, okay, well, them, I could see if you were arresting someone from that side, but
sure,
what's going over there? That's grandma and her daughters and her grandkids.
Right.
What's going on? And it was like, I don't know. It was weird, and we went out there, my dad and I, and my dad had his security shirt on, and of course we're white. So they didn't say much to us. He was, it's like, well, you need to go back in your home. And it's like, we're just making sure you're not, messing with our van, basically. And they looked at the van, and it says right on it, U.S. military veteran and everything. Oh no, sir, we're not messing with your van. Type thing. We're
okay.
Type thing. Okay, all right. We would go back in the house, but it was weird that you have that go on.
Yeah, that type of that many people and everything going on. And that's, I think that you probably, we're going on a rabbit hole here, but I think that there's I remember when I was a kid, we had in Detroit, we had a lot of neighbors that were cops. And we had this guy across the street, and his dad, I think, was a cop, but he was also a cop. And my dad had we got broken into, and this was months later, and my dad got home from work. It was late at night. For some reason, Ford had them design cars from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. I don't understand that, but anyway, but we had this deadbolt that had two keys, one key on the inside, one key on the outside. It didn't have a turn latch because we had a window, and you could reach in, and so my dad put keys in it. Well, key broke off, so my dad called a locksmith to come out, and this is the thing. This is the rub, and it's unfortunate because very nice black man showed up, and dad started. He went and helped. My dad was holding the door open and everything, and the cop came over across the street. He was off duty, and my dad's standing there, and all he could hear was this boom, boom, boom from the they were trying to get the door open. He was trying to break the lock. The gentleman, the locksmith. And the cop, white cop, he ended up pulling the gun. He didn't see my dad because this guy was a big guy. Didn't see my dad, and he didn't shoot him, but he was like, it was the perception of it, and that's the sad part of it all.
Right.
That's such a sad thing, because it shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter if my dad was white or the it shouldn't matter, and it's hard because we're so, not everybody's like that, but it's in a situation that could be very bad,
especially in Detroit. People who don't know Detroit and the culture of Detroit and the history of Detroit. And
there's a lot of and it's still healing. And it's unfortunate, but I know a lot of people though that I've witnessed it. And I witness it all the time. Still, there are some awesome people there, and people live peacefully all the time there. And it just, it's just a shame that, like recent events and everything else with the police officer and all that stuff that just happened with the court. It's just a situation that I hope gets better eventually. I know it's never been an issue with my family because that's the way I don't raise my kids like that. I won't have it. I won't have it in the house. I wasn't raised like that. But it starts at home. It does. And I think that there's, regardless of however you feel about it, that's the truth. I think that it's going to get better, but it's hard right now. It's still a hard situation, but
well, it all has to do with, like you say, how people are raised. And
period. And it's ignorance, and it's,
we don't, so many people today are absent from each other's lives.
Well, yeah, physically. I mean, definitely.
And not necessarily by choice. I mean, we have single parents. They're not there for their kids.
Sure.
And, they don't, it's not that they don't want to be there. It's that they don't have a choice. They have to go work to financially support the family. That makes a difference. There's other people, because of familial breakup or because of whatever, the family just is broken.
Drama.
The family is broken. You don't have the right people,
Right. Your support structure is not there.
Yeah.
And I know some married people that their support structure is not there. So, they have, what you think as a perfect family, but
no, exactly. Okay, Pop, you're right. It is getting late, and we're going to call it a night pretty much.
Sounds good. Yep.
But because we have gone down a rabbit hole away from
I know. They're good topics, though. They're good topics, and I think it's healthy. It's a healthy conversation. So
yeah, it is a healthy conversation, and we're glad we did bring it up.
Yeah,
and, we want to wish you a night, PCA, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yep, good seeing you. Thank you. Yep.
And again, this Sunday, the 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will have Grim 101. If I can get the page to show again.
It's okay.
I just got to get the right screen to show. That's all.
Right. I know. It's a little tricky on some of those.
There we go.
There you are.
And that'll be this Sunday, 7 p.m.
On Ted Davies Artistry. Yep.
Ted Davies Artistry.
On Facebook, YouTube, all of it.
Facebook and YouTube.
Yep.
And then
you'll get to see Lisa Malone there too. She's going to be on, just as far as management goes. We're going to show a few things and how we got the thing started and moved through so it's kind of a cool way to send it off.
Awesome.
So I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I appreciate your time, and it's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show as well.
Thanks.
And also, people don't know how hard it is. Everybody thinks that, it's easy to get guests for these shows. It's not. There a lot of people, there's clicks, there's time differential, there's a lot of things. So anytime I have anybody on my show, I'm always grateful to have any of my people that are my guests spend time with me here. And, it's a mutual thanks.
No, that's a real privilege. Thank you.
All right, man. So again, this is Ted Davies, and visit him at teddaviesartistry.com. And we're going to go ahead and get our thing. If you have questions for me, you can reach me at Facebook at lewis.brightraven, on Twitter at lewisbrightrave2, at deviantart.com/brightraven. You are watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Brightraven on YouTube. You can email me questions at lewisbrightravenlbr72@gmail.com. And if you can't reach me there, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. On Mondays, we have our new comics news and reviews. Wednesdays, I talk about what I got in the mail or what I got at the comic shop this week. Thursdays, like tonight, I have a guest. We have a roundtable discussion. Usually I'm promoting other people's stuff, like we promoted Grim 101 and other projects from Ted. We also talk like we had talk about the cop situation. And Fridays we have genre night, and tomorrow night I will probably be talking about books of some genre or another. We haven't finalized that just yet because I don't know if my intended guest has finalized his approval time yet or not. Waiting to hear back from them. And on Saturday and Sunday we will have live draw in the afternoon. Okay. So I want to thank you all once again for being here. And we will see you next time. Have a good night, everyone.